it's easy to stay where you're safe.
Yeah.
And where it's comfortable.
Just sitting there in fear forever is always discomforting, right? I think our curiosity and where we're heading as a team, and I hope that we can keep growing that curiosity and pushing ourselves to an abundance inside and out of here. It's made me more curious about traveling overseas. I had never done it until her. Philippines, Vietnam, Bali, Tokyo, and then we puddle jumped in Malaysia. Once you go do those things, the layers of what happens to you as a person are so much different than what you played in your mind. Hey everybody, welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, with co-host Doug Cox. Doug, what's up, bud? We're 2 weeks into 2025, baby.
At 2025. That's, I don't know. That's a hard one to swallow. 2025. 2010 feels like yesterday. That's 15 years.
College felt like yesterday.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean,
I was telling a really good close neighbor of mine. I was telling him some stories about what our football house used to look like.
oh my gosh.
We're not going to go there, but
No.
it was, I gave him the prank that I got you on that one time. Oh, buddy, that gallon of water in my bed taught Doug and Travis real quick.
Yeah.
You do something to Axel, what happened?
Oh, well, the joke is he's going to kill your mother and your cousins if you pull a prank on Jeremy. Because the deal is we'd have like a light prank or a prank we'd pull on Jeremy, and he would absolutely take it to the next level. Tenfold, every time.
Oh, it was tenfold. The purpose of that is that he'd never do it again.
And we did.
and then the last one, so they were asking for it.
Well, it was just us being young, and when you have a bunch of competitive guys that live together that have a ping pong table in their kitchen. Yeah, I mean, the competitive ping pong was next level.
We had
on, but awkward left-handed serve that was so ugly.
Oh, it's great.
That life is so unorthodox.
I slice and dice, and then it would be like this, and it then that way.
Well,
I'm ready for it, man. I might need to get that table out again. Yeah, you swing on over.
Work you.
Yeah, you'll have to go to physical therapy when I'm done.
Maybe. Pull a hamstring playing table tennis. Yeah.
No, but man, welcome to 2025, man. What a wonderful time of year. And I think we talked about that the last episode, man. I have so much gratitude for our team going into this year. And it's a blessing to have you guys on this journey with us. And I think there's so much great.
Well, we had a lot of accomplishment in 2024, which a lot of good improvement, a lot of building of solid relationships, a lot of good things. I mean, when you look back on it, kind of set for this year. Yeah.
A lot of exploring, a lot of learning, a lot of risk taking. I think we just did an abundance of things. We added some phenomenal team members to this crew that enhanced
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they enhanced what we do, and they enhanced our connectivity and where we're going, and just to have that much. I just have a lot of gratitude. I mean, sometimes I don't give enough space for that, but there's a lot of greatness going on here, and diving into some things that we were talking about off topic, Doug, around curiosity and the structured growth of always remaining curious. A couple other team members were talking about that, and they brought up some conversations around curiosity and what it meant to them. What they meant for the curiosity against life as we started as kids, man, and just all this. The world is you have no fear. There's nothing that's ever you wanted to believe. I mean, when you were a kid, what'd you want to become? What was your goal? Like, a fireman.
From a young age, my very first remembrance of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the Army, or I wanted to join the Coast Guard. My dad was in the Coast Guard, and I used to love it when he'd take me to the base. I thought it was the neatest thing ever, to go on the boats and ships, and I still remember that smell, but I think that was my, my first memory of who I thought I wanted to be. What about you?
And I remember
Klamath Falls.
I'm a fault. I bring up. I was in
agriculture down there. There is, yeah.
my high school, especially. I was in definitely. Henley had a bunch of farmers, but no, man. I wanted to. There was a time I remember. I loved to hide. I loved to. We had this wood pile on our side of our house one time, and I had a bunch of burnt charcoal, and I thought I was Rambo, and I had this desire to become a sniper or something. Like I felt like, man, if I could hide, I'd be really like. There's this. I liked hide and go seek. I liked all these fun, enjoyable things as a kid, man. I was like, there's something about that was so probably masculine because I think as you know, you're a boy, you're innately driven towards
just
a maturity of becoming a man, and I think that was it for me. But aside from that, I just baseball player, the typical things. I didn't, obviously, whatever I desired still didn't. Now we're out here flipping industrial. So who knows, right? Like, But I remember that. I remember the
baseball and military. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's moments of like if just thinking the curiosity in business. I think we are curious. I think. And on our team, I'm curious a lot, and I'm curious to a fault. And it's kind of funny because my personal levels of fear of failure versus the risk I'm willing to take, it's kind of like a conflict. It's kind of weird because they're different than one another. I don't know why.
I never thought you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, because and I've known you a long time, but I see the way you conduct business and the way you reinvest and the tools and the structure to help us automate, to advance, but you probably still got the first dollar you made, don't you?
Seriously. I mean, that's, I've lightened up a little bit, but no, I mean, like, it's just kind of growing through that, right? Like, and I think it's okay. I think the ability for us to stay curious, has pushed us towards, I feel like the most, we're not there yet, but an innovative state of mind and culture where we are never, like, I don't think this culture has ever stopped and been non-innovative. I think that it's always, what is the next step and where are we going and who's the stakeholder and, that curiosity in me. And that doesn't mean that those decisions are always correct because the curiosity also leads to failure, right? But I think that there's a push around who we are. And what do you think? Do you think that we have that curious?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're the young kid that's still wants to touch the stove, right? In a lot of ways, and I think we're, and I talk to a bunch of my colleagues and my friends in the organizations or companies they own and the way they do things. And then I try to see if there's some nuggets for us and a lot of that. And I think we're well advanced in the way we have some things structured, the way we're getting things organized. I mean, we still have a lot of improvement. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're feeling the friction of it, here this week and over the course of the last few months is business activity has picked up. We're seeing where these gaps are that we need to address. But the point being is we're not sitting in it. We're fixing it. We're looking where that's going to compound and lead us. And we're challenging ourselves in that, where a lot of organizations are like, well, this is how we do it. This is how we're going to do it. And be lucky if we change,
Yeah. And I think that
that works for those, some folks. I'm not here to bash any of that, but I think for us, it's where we can have more control and more at our fingertips and, just always handing things off and following the paper trail. I mean, we just conduct it a bit different.
And I think that sometimes, the curiosity, I'm probably, I know I am sometimes at fault too curious. Like,
oh my God.
What's next, right?
Like, you to reel it in sometimes would be beautiful.
What's the next side? I mean, unfortunately, my curiosity sometimes people can't see what the next layers are and when those need to occur. So I'm sometimes ahead of the curve for you guys, and that's not I'm not saying that towards you, but it's like I'm trying to make sure that as these things fall into place, because
we keep that momentum.
My assumptions and my calculated risks are that this will occur, and then if it does, what does it look like for us, right? Like So I got to always remain curious and keep you guys curious. I try to push you guys, and I'm like, I'll ask you questions to make sure you're continually pushing that curiosity, because I think that curiosity and the ability to dive in helps you problem solve.
Well, just even in our lighthearted conversations, like on Saturday, it was almost a brainstorming session. I was driving and
Yep.
I think you were at a coffee shop working somewhere, and we were just talking about, where we're headed, how we're getting there, and just, when we get to some of these stages in this evolution of what it's going to look like and what further it's going to involve, and I
Yep.
think we brainstorm a lot around, the curiosity of when we get there, what does this look like, right?
Mhm.
The ambition the curiosity and the ambition is for us to get there. But then again, where's going to be our pain points and our friction, along the way. And once we hit these elements, but yeah, no, it's a very forward thinking mindset. It's fun.
Yeah, and I think it's given us a lot of blind spots. I mean, we have blind spots all over, right?
Oh my
Like, but we
gosh.
are
Yeah.
curious enough. Well, I wouldn't say they're blind spots. I would say that we acknowledge them. A blind spot to me is like, you're not paying. I think we're curious enough as a team that we're open enough to understand that we can all provide a sense of perspective, and that we understand where it sits, and it might not be in that top, 1% tier that we're going after right now. I think we've done a pretty good job, man, of keeping our eyes, open as we do evolve. And I think
Blinders.
that,
I mean,
well, I think we're
perspective.
pretty, we think we got our 360, head
Mhm.
on a swivel. And I think that,
Yep.
that we're still curious of what if, and what does that look like? And assuming the future, which I don't want to project too much in the future, but you have to, right? Otherwise we're going to be working
What are you
in the
planning
now.
for? Yeah.
Exactly. And the now is if the now exists the way it exists, we're still, our curiosity needs to keep pushing just for this moment. So as we keep, yeah, we're not, and we're not
Mhm.
where we're heading hasn't problem solved enough, and implemented enough of that to sustain, in a, I would say, a peaceful manner, right? Like that I tell you guys all the time, like, look, let's get to this state of peace. Um, Obviously we want curiosity still, but just being able to work with curiosity more in an abundance instead of fight or flight, adrenaline rush, like we
Oh,
just did this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this part of our process. I didn't even understand this was there. Not that, man, I was like, I jumped right on it. Right. And within 2 days, we already got a solution, but that was a fight or flight. Like in that
right.
moment, I just saw there was a need. Um, so,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a problem solving that to me is like curiosity is going to continually push us towards better solutions and saying, hey, is there a better way to do this? Or, me, I'm like, I don't think there's a bad way, but if someone's not thinking deep enough, I'm going to challenge them of what they're trying to think, so that they've thought all the way through it
Mhm.
for the greater of everyone, not just the moment or what they're in, but the whole perspective. You got to think curiously above yourself, and be open enough to think about what it really means as a unit, and what does each step look like? Are you being curious enough on thinking about more than that single issue, right?
Yeah.
And I've tried to get you guys to really, and it's a hard way to think. It's tough. Yeah.
When you're in the trenches, I mean, it's the experience and what's going on and how to mitigate and problem solve. You just got to have a keen sense, for these bottlenecks or these pain points or friction, that we're, that come up on a day to day or weekly basis, that we work our way through it, so it doesn't snowball into a bigger problem later on down the road.
Yeah, exactly. So take a quick break, and then we'll dive back into the, kind of on the topic of curiosity and then this problem solving and what that means. But I think let's open up a little bit more on the personal side, Doug, and see if there's, I think there's a lot that we kind of missed talking about that we can kind of bring into the second part of this episode. And
Yeah.
yeah, but let us take a quick break, guys. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you guys here in a quick minute. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for that short break. And we're going to dive back into just like, I think the topic, Doug, we stick on curiosity and that knowledge and problem solving. I think I want to go back to that just innocent kid. And I don't know if you recall just that wonder, the wonder of the world. I don't know if you've seen it in your kids and you paid attention to that, man. Just that. Do you remember those wonders? Like the wonder of going out in nature, the wonder of going fishing with your dad, and the curiosity that it brought to your heart. Do you remember those moments?
Well, yeah, and a lot of it was experience, right? Where, the camping trips or the hunting trips or, the excitement around that, where you just, as a kid, it's almost like this moment to be free, right?
Yeah.
To kind of explore. And, I was fortunate enough, my brother and I both, I think maybe at a young age, we matured well at a young age. Later on, probably questionable, but to where my folks gave us a lot of leash. I mean, shoot, I remember, gosh, when my brother and I, we were in grade school and we would just load up our backpacks with snacks. And we had our BB gun, we had
Nope.
our canteen bottle.
Oh, you thought you were John Wayne, dude. You're going.
We're gone. And I mean,
No, you thought you were hunting.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You're
And my brother and I, we'd go on hikes for miles.
yeah.
And my dad never worried. My parents never worried. But, it was just as kids, it's like, oh gosh, I don't have to worry about anything, being told no, nothing. I'm free.
Nope.
Going to explore.
It is so free. Do you remember the river runs through it, that movie?
I love.
Do you remember that? Yeah, I think it was on the Road River.
No, not on the Red River. It was filled in Montana.
Oh, was it? I
Yeah,
thought
it was
it was
filled on the Blackfoot River in Montana. It's one of my all-time favorites.
That right there
You can't
is the
shoot the
most.
chutes, Polly. Remember when they steal the drift out and they run it down the.
Yeah, but do you remember how curious they were, like how innocent and open they were? And I think that as you age and you have kids and stuff, man, that curiosity just it becomes a second version of who you are. And I think we miss out. And I'm trying to instill that in my kids, is just to be curious. Like if they ask me a question that's not like they're bothering them, like, oh, actually, hold on, Levi, let me show you. Like, and he's like, oh, okay. Like he's curious. Like they're learning. Like, what is this, Dad? Like, why do you do that, Dad? What's that about? And I think we all need to embrace those moments. And I think somehow in our adulthood, it would be advantageous to get that curiosity back in some fashion, right? Like I think we take an annual trip every year. We didn't get to this year because of chaos, but I think that's a time for us to explore and be more curious around us as people, our connections with each other. If we're going out in nature, like let's explore. Like there's nothing better for the heart. When you go to the mountains, Doug, you're curious to what but you're curious. Like, hey, if we go here, what does it look like? Like that's curiosity in your heart. There's something that happens inside of you that is almost peaceful. And then when you go experience it, whether it's a fear or you're trying something new or you're, I know you're scared of jumping out of an airplane, but that'd be awesome for you to be curious enough.
No way. My wife is, she's bungee jump, she's skydive, hot air balloon, and I can't get up a ladder, let alone jump out of an airplane.
So I'm going to share a clip for this podcast about my wife and I doing it, and we'll put it in here so you can see the curiosity and the moment, how much fear my wife had, but the amount of blessings that came from that, man. She just overcame. We jumped over the Royal Gorge. It was for my birthday.
About it afterward, was she just?
Oh, she was just. Oh, absolutely, it's phenomenal. We jumped over the Royal Gorge. She got it for my birthday. It's the second time I've done it, man. And I'm like, I kind of, I've done it twice. I did it once in Minnesota and then once here in Colorado. So, but that curiosity was just this beautiful thing, right? Like she was curious and fearful and furious, and then we did it, and just the amount of, I guess the overcoming of that fear. She has this natural instinct. My wife is a curious person. She loves to travel and explore and do these things. But I've seen as we've had kids and stuff, and the world will hold you out of that because of the responsibilities. They're so big and profound. I mean, I think we need to try to keep maybe pushing ourselves to exploring that. And I think you and I do a pretty good job on the business side, but hey, maybe when we go do a team outing, or let's go be more curious. We're not get outside of
an airplane. We're all standing
No,
there
but
on
let's
one
not
chair.
let's not mountain bike right over here. Like, let's go to a
Yeah.
certain river and go fly fish. Let's go.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just other things that we can go explore that are a little bit different. Just
Experiences.
remain childlike. Keep that
Mhm.
inner child so that you can fulfill that curiosity, right? Like, I think we get stuck in this whirlwind of this duration where it's like you're in the hamster. You're just going and going and going and going and going and going.
Turn the
And we put
crank.
back in the 2025, dude. It's 2025.
Yeah, and we're
And
not
I'm
getting
going,
any younger.
yeah, I'm definitely staying young, but I don't know about you.
Easy.
No.
Easy, fella. I-
But that just staying in that comfort zone, right? Like, I just think that we can bridge the gap and just quit being so complacent and figuring out, like, allowing other people around you to keep
Mhm.
their curiosity to push you forward, right?
Mhm.
Like, don't if there's something like that doesn't sound fun or it's a fear of yours, maybe just lean in. That's a good time to listen to yourself and be like, actually, you know what? Maybe I should lean in a little bit closer to that and try something that isn't in my comfort zone because we're not going to grow like as people, right?
Jumping out of an airplane is not growing. That's falling.
I mean, you're you're definitely fun, but your inner side of the fear is where you grow, right? Like,
No, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, for me, there's a fine line there. I
there's not
have a
even
deadly fear of heights. I mean, that's just
So do I. So do I.
yeah. Well, I'm not trying to
I,
conquer it either, but
hey, I did, and it's yeah, but those are the moments, right? Like, that's something that not saying that it has to be like some people have their
no,
own ways to do it. It's not sitting in the moment, right? Like, just sitting there in fear forever is always discomforting, right? Like, you're just never
yeah,
gonna approach that. A lot of people do that, right? And like, I think our curiosity and where we're heading as a team, and I hope that we can keep growing that curiosity and pushing ourselves to an abundance inside and out of here so that we never lose sight of that for our families, for our kids, for our wife,
Mhm.
letting those um be
Yep.
more curious. My wife made me more curious about traveling overseas, and I had never done it until her. And man, when I did,
That's right.
became
'Cause
more curious.
you guys went to Thailand and the Philippines.
Yeah, no, we went to the
Years back?
Philippines, Vietnam, Bali,
That's right.
and Tokyo, and then we puddle jumped in Malaysia. That was just all
Wow.
kinds of stuff I never would have thought of, and I wish I would have stayed longer. Honestly, my
Yeah.
curiosity was once you go do those things, the
Mhm.
layers of what happens to you as a person are so much different than what you've played in your mind, and you didn't explore, but you put these guardrails up where you assume something,
Mhm.
and that assumption puts a block that is never true until you experience it. And I think that
Well,
we got to try to figure out.
it's easy to stay where you're safe, right?
Yeah,
And where it's comfortable. And going beyond that sometimes is challenging, but that's, my wife, much like yours, she wants to travel, and
yeah,
loves it. And I mean, she's been to Australia, she's been to Africa, my gosh,
yeah.
there's a few continents she hasn't touched, but um, you know, and,
That's
and
awesome.
and I like adventure. I'm kind of the same fashion. I mean, if it's hunting, if it's the outdoors, if it's anything but jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping, I'm on board. But yeah.
Well, good news at your age, they don't let you do it anymore when you hit like
That's the
60.
thing.
So you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I just think that, just if you just the ability to push yourself in the boundaries and take risks, I think we do a really good job on our internal side. Like,
But it takes a team of highly motivated individuals too and accountable people, to help in unison lead a charge like that. And it's part of a culture. And when you look at your home, and if it's, the adventures, the curiosity to try new things, that's what you cultivate at home as well.
Mhm.
I think I could be wrong, but no, I mean
Yeah, and
it's
that's right. Like, this thing, like, it's, I think to never remain stagnant, and we got to keep moving forward. And I think that we can. It's always good to reflect and take steps back, but I just this ability to find a genuine curiosity and a fire. I think that
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever had like limitations of maybe finances held you back from being more curious, and that's happened to me a lot. Like, I wasn't in a place of being more curious because I couldn't afford it or whatever, and that I'm like, man, I hope one day the sake of my beings and my children, my family, that I can be more curious. Like, let us think about that. Like, think about your limitations and imagine, like, if we had an abundance there, how much more we could do to explore that, right? Like, let's get to that side to let the abundance allow us to be more curious and explore more without constraints of being an adult and being dad and having responsibilities, right?
Got some really good friends or brothers I grew up with in high school, and their parents were divorced, and their dad, they lived with their dad, and he was a mechanic. Now they own their own very successful business here in town, and I remember at that time, he was raising two boys, on one income, and they had toys. They didn't have the nicest, newest toys, but they had toys. They had boats, they had snowmobiles, they had all these things. And I mean, they weren't the newest, the greatest, they were old, they worked on them, they fixed them, whatever. But I'm like, geez, Sean, you saving a nickel here? He goes, Doug, you can't take the money to the grave. He goes, we're here to have fun. And that's what we live for. And I've always remembered that. You can't take the money to the grave.
Yeah.
And I know ultimately you'd like to leave something wholeheartedly for your kids or whatever, but and I thought, and they were always off and playing, always. They were always doing something, and just having those experiences and the curiosity to, drive to Montana and take their snowmobiles up there and go play and, but they never made it.
Yeah. What does that look like when you went to Yellowstone? You're like, the curiosity was something of a movie, right? Like it was like river runs through. You're like, oh my gosh, like you're genuinely curious. Like,
what was this? How am I going to manage all three of these kids by myself?
No, I know, right? But I mean, like, awesome. Yeah, like that's I remember you doing that, and I'm like, man, you had to feel like this. When you get in a road trip and you're so curious of what it's going to be, you're so excited.
I felt like
right, like
I felt like a kid again. Like I'm taking that summer vacation that mom and dad had talked about for the last 6 months. And, we did ours kind of spur of the moment, but no, I felt like that kid again going and having this experience. It was.
So I think going into 2025, let's stay a little bit closer to our comfort zone when we feel that way and not miss opportunities and not take safety over the unknown. Like, let's push and let's go see if that curiosity pushes us to the side of something greater, right? Because I truly believe that's where we're heading. Like, I think we're heading that as fathers. I think we're heading that as friends. I think we're going to head that as a business. I think it's going to be a year that with what we have going on in this team, oh my gosh, let's go push that. Let's not just look back at the end of 2025 and make all these excuses. Let's go push the unknown and push out of the comfort zone to be more curious and find that fulfillment with your family and with your friends. And
shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, right? So we're going to wind down here, guys, on this episode of Never in Reverse. This is a passionate topic for me, man. I really enjoy talking about this. And Doug, I always
want to get outside and go play.
Yeah, and I was like getting on with you, man. We can get real with each other, and as this this podcast evolves, and who knows where this is. Let's get more curious, right? Like, let's push the unknown. Let's find the depth of our inner being to see if there's something that's bigger than what we're currently at, right? Like,
things that are
so
more fun.
for all the viewers, like, take 2025 and let's go be more curious. So
memories.
Let's go do it, guys. We appreciate you guys joining us. Again, I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host Doug Cox. We appreciate our great team putting this together for us. And until next time, guys, of Never in Reverse, we appreciate you guys, and please follow us. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.